Number 2, it is Christmas Eve. We're down to the single figure numbers, the really good ones, and it is a special show. I'm Si. This is RDE. This is Cardiff City World. Let's talk about what the number 2 means to Cardiff City. 2 Premier League promotions. Where do we start? I think, mate, we start with 2012, 2013. Malky Mackay storms the division, wins the championship, 1-0 every week.
Yeah.
Memories, mate, memories.
The most painful season for me. It was the red, obviously. I refused to go. I boycotted the club. I will not support the club in red. They changed the logo to a massive dragon, which I don't mind the dragon, but it's not the Cardiff City logo. It's not our badge. So when I look back at that, I always think it's always the first promotion, but to me it's not. That didn't exist. That happened to me. That didn't. I don't look back at that with fond memories. I think that was a joke at the time. But on the field, though, it was probably the hardest working Cardiff side we've seen in years. It was some of the players were just workhorses, and they would just grind the result out. And we need a bit of magic, but then they sit back and defend. And on paper, I think, to be fair, Matty did build a good side, a strong, hard side. But again, it's a sour taste in my mouth looking back at that youth. I just not a fan of it.
2 seconds. Back. Can you shut that door, love? Please. Just want to let you finish. Nice, clean edit point. Yeah, that was the season where, like, same as me, like, my relationship with the club as a fan, like, changed forever. Like, before that season, it was like every week, without fail, no matter what, we were there, and it just was never the same after that. And it's better now, and we're trying to repair that relationship almost, like, for individuals and the fans and the club. Like, I know people who still haven't gone back because they still see it as it's the same owner and it's the same things. But it was brutal. But, like, on the pitch, I think that Malky Mackay side wasn't always the best to watch. And I think what that encapsulates for me is fans. Everyone moans about these days about style of football and what's their style of football and blah 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 blah. But actually, if you're winning, fans don't give a shit. If you play long ball, short ball, possession, counter attack, whatever. If you win football matches, fans will get behind it. And I think that was what that was, because Malky's side was not enjoyable to watch.
No,
it was quite dour. But like you say, so hard working. And I think, in fairness to Malky Mackay, he did a tremendous job of getting everyone so united. The fans loved him. And I know it ended a bit sour. And I feel a bit sorry for him in some ways, because I don't think it wasn't really him that got soured on. It was Ian Moody, which had a problem and stuff. And he just kind of got lumped in with it. And I think that's unfortunate, because when you look at the Premier League season that he had, the following year after getting promoted, he was never in the relegation zone. We only ever hurtled towards relegation after he left. And I think that's unfortunate, because I think Malky Mackay did a tremendous job with the uniting the fans and everything in a time which must have been very, very difficult. I've spoken to a few of the players who were in the squad that day, and it was surreal for them, because you were like, they were playing week in, week out, going for promotion. They won the league, but there was just something, like, the edge was taken off it, because the fans weren't united, and there was so many fans missing, and there was protests and the rest of it. You feel sorry for the players.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity. But I think that season they beat Man City 3-2 in the first game at home.
That was in the Premier League, yeah.
And I'm looking back thinking I couldn't even watch that. I've seen highlights since. I couldn't watch that at the time. I couldn't watch none of that on TV. I couldn't go to the stadium. It felt like I lost my club, and I felt like I've lost something. And I've still not recaptured that thing I'm missing. I'll go back to the games now, and there is something still missing for me. I don't know if it's something that was taken away when he went red, but I can't recapture what I felt was younger. Yeah. And it's a shame. I think so many others have lost the same thing, that same feeling, and they don't go back now. But I still go back, but it is still something still missing. I don't know if I'll stay there now until he leaves, till Tan's gone. But it's just a painful memory. That one was the first one.
It's hard, mate. So the season we got promoted, I think probably went to like 30% of the games or something, as opposed to like every home game and a couple of aways or whatever before that. And then the Premier League season, I went to the Man City game, and look, as a football match, it was incredible. Like beating Man City in your first season in the Premier League, first home game, to beat a team of that magnitude and do it the way we did was incredible. But it was still, you just didn't feel right. And I never went back. The only other game I went to that season was the Manchester United home game. And I nearly didn't go to that. But I eventually decided, I think like a couple of days before, it might have even been on the day, because I grew up, my father used to watch Man United. So that's how I used to watch them on the Champions League on ITV and stuff like that. So I had like this thing to them that I'd always kind of watched them from afar. And I was like, do you know what? Like me and my dad would have talked about this before he died when I was younger and stuff. That game, will they ever play each other in the FA Cup? So it's me versus him sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then I decided, close to the game, I'm going to go to this game. I don't give a shit. Like, that's just a personal thing for me. And I fucking hated it. Absolutely hated it. And I never went back until they turned it back blue then. But it's just unfortunate, mate, because like I said, the players and the manager deserve to be revered for finally getting promoted to the Premier League after so many close shaves. And of course, they won the league.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's sad in many ways that they don't get the credit and the love that they would have got. And one of my favourite players of all time for Cardiff, Kimbo. I loved Kimbo, mate. He was like a player that I really gravitated to, and I wanted him to be like Ji-sung Park, just like that workhorse who had a bit of quality. And
he seemed to drift into my 10 a lot, and he just seemed, once the ball was at his feet, he was just gliding past players like they weren't there. He seemed like a proper number
another
10.
one too good for us.
He seemed to just drift away and disappeared. But I remember we played in that Premier League season. We played Swansea, the first South Wales derby of the Premier League. Stephen Corker scored an header, and we won 1-0. I love rubbing in the jack when we beat them. Absolutely love it. I don't see that as a Cardiff win. Looking back, that's not Cardiff. That's how painful it is. And I don't count those two promotions. I see there's only one, and even that one's got a bit of a star next to it because the badge and everything else was along with it.
Yeah, it's sad, mate. It's sad, and I think like I know a load of people who have never gone back, and I don't know if they will now because their routine and everything has changed. And that's the big thing for us. Is like, I used to go, my missus used to go years ago when we were younger, like separately with our father, like her, she used to go with her dad, and I used to go with my mates, and then we met, and then we used to go together, and then we stopped. But our routine changed. We used to do something else on a Saturday in that year or two that we didn't go, and then it just, once you start doing other stuff on a Saturday, it's very difficult to get back into it. And I think it's just one of those things. But let's talk about something which is less depressing for you, particularly. That sort of 2017-18, Neil Warnock, probably the next manager after Malky to really unite the fans and the club and the players all together, and took us, second in the league, promoted to the Premier League once again. My view on Neil Warnock is I know everyone loves him, and I like him. I like him. He seems like a great guy, and I think he's an excellent Championship manager. But it's my view that to stay up, we probably needed to bring a new manager in for the Premier League. I just don't think doesn't seem to have it in him just to build. Like, do you know what I mean? He's not quite at Premier League level, or he's found out his tactically. I don't know what it is. It's nothing against him. It's just statistically.
He did the hard job first of all. He came to a struggling Cardiff side and he galvanised the players. He got in the fans. We just turned back blue. And
we were broken, mate.
Things would fall apart. I mean, I know fans, some of the fans hate each other. A few boys won't speak to each other. And he sort of just mended that fence. And I think for once, we did. And to be fair, we had a solid team on paper. And he just sort of added one or two players. My biggest question mark is Warnock was some of the players he signed. I mean, the promotion year, we did it the hard way. I think we played Wolves, had 2 penalties in that last minute, missed them both. Fulham were running us ragged that season. They just would not let up. And in the last game, I think they dropped points the last game and we drew a Birmingham, which meant we've got the second spot. And it was just a big sigh of relief more than just we've done it. But to be fair, I look back on it as a fun season simply because it was just enjoyable going to football again. Just being back blue and seeing your mates again on a Saturday that I haven't seen for the last 4 or 5 years. He was just, Warnock came in and I don't know what it was, but he fixed something with the club. I think
he'd always be loved for that, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Just because he came in at a time when the club was broken, the relationship between the fans and the club was broken. The relationship, like you say, between fans and fans was broken.
Yeah.
And he just repaired it all. Callum Patterson went from a right back to a centre forward, scored like 10 goals in the season. Like, what players stick out to you from that season that going up like more than the Premier League season?
I mean, it seems strange to say it, but Ken's a whore. I think he's had one good season of football, and that was that year with us.
And if you look at his clips and his highlights, mate, he looks unplayable, mate. He scores some amazing goals, but just never was able to replicate it anywhere else.
One thing I'll say for Warnock, I think he gets all criticism for bowling football, and to be fair, it's a hard-working side rather than a fancy, great watch side. But he brought in pace on either wing. He did. He had Mendes Lang one side. We had Zaho. I mean, there was a lot of pace on that side. To be fair, he utilised it, and it was just. When you look at the back line, you had Manga at right back.
Too good for the championship.
Absolutely. You had Bamba and Morrison centre half. With Peltier there. Joe Bennett, who had probably the best years of his life playing Cardiff. What a left back he was.
Greg Halford as well.
Exactly.
Good squad player. And Neil Etheridge, mate, in goal.
Another cracker signing. Yeah. You look at them players, you're thinking, he didn't have any much money to spend. The players he had were all frees and stuff. And he just signed great characters. I think that was the most important thing, because that's one of the big things that helped the fans get aboard the side again, is we had characters there with men who were going to run for the bad for us with a brick wall. There wasn't showboats or fancy players who just didn't have the effort. And it just worked. And I think after that, then, you see him with money in the Premiership, I think he just threw money at anything he could get his hands on.
Well, we had that star player in Gary Medine.
Oh, the strangest 5 million we spent. Absolutely. I don't know what do you say? I don't know what he's seen in it, what he was looking for, but what a strange kind of Gary Medine was. He offered absolutely nothing when he came to us. Then he got promoted, and you've seen some of the players he bought, like 10 million, I think, for Bobby Reid to play a position that we don't play with. But then he did make some astute signings with Camarasa on loan, who...
Camarasa, one of the best players to ever play for the club.
What a player, what a magician he was, number 10. You dream about a player like that. I mean, another one who's too good for us. And he said Harry Arthur on loan, who is guaranteed to yellow card every game, and he would think he's going to get sent off. But he ran non-stop. He got stuck into every challenge. Next to Aaron Gunnarsson as well. You just thought, you do the running for me. Let him get the ball back. Dream team.
Just finishing off on that, like one player which I always thought in that sort of period, who I always thought we could have got more out of if we tried, was Rhys Healy. I always felt like there was a player, like a goal scorer there, and we never really gave him much of a chance in the first team, which is unfortunately the Warnock way, isn't it? Like with those young players never going to get those opportunities under him, which is fine. You know, some managers go a different way, but I know he didn't exactly go on. He did all right when he went elsewhere, but like I always felt like there was a player there, and we never give him a chance, like, you know. But there we go.
To be fair, he's had a fantastic career since.
Yeah, he's done
Toulouse is wonderful. And I think he went to, was it Watford or Huddersfield, and I was going to Watford or Huddersfield for a few million. So, but again, Warnock, I think is it Bellingham in charge? He was saying, Warnock kind of said, there's no one in the academy that I think is good enough. You look back and you got Ruben in there, you got Joel in there, you got Bagan in there, Isaac Davis in there. You kind of think, well,
what are you seeing?
Luckily, he's moved on, I think.
Yeah, God, yeah.
The managers been since then, I've seen them players, and we've gone, here we go.
All those players would have gone for frees, and would they even still be playing, some of them, you know? So, yeah. So, that's number 2. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve, where we will do number 1 in the Christmas countdown. It's been a lot of fun recording these videos. We've had emotional ones, such as Sol Bamba, the Peter Whittingham tribute, but we've also had a lot of fun ones discussing Cardiff City's best number 11, Graham Kavanagh, Super Kev, hat-tricks. It's been so much fun, bit of nostalgia, going through the years, rolling back the memories as it was. It's been a great pleasure to share it with my guy, RDE. Matthew has been around as well, but we'll be back tomorrow for Christmas Eve. And then don't forget, on Christmas Day, we have the big debate. the greatest ever Cardiff City 11, debated by the members of Cardiff City World, position by position, finishing with the manager. Can we find a team that we agree on? Tune in to find out. Make sure you're subscribed, all that good stuff, and we'll see you in a bit. Tidy bat.